Welcome everybody to Breaking Ball episode 5. Can you believe there's only one more episode to go next week for the All-Ireland final? We are missing somebody today in the studio. He's gone missing after Derry got beaten in the All-Ireland semi-final. Our very own Conan Doherty, he's been going searching for Joe McQuillan around the country, but we got him eventually online. Conan, how have you been since you've drowned your sorrows after the All-Ireland semi-final?
Oh yeah, this is day 6 of me just going down rabbit holes, taking screenshots of non-fouls that Joe McQuillan gave, and digging out any bit of proof that I can cry about. But I think once you've taken your 11th, 12th, 13th screenshot and put it on Twitter, you need to start stepping away from your phone. Then, all you're doing is making yourself look bad.
Well, listen, we've got a little surprise for you. We've got to keep the hopes up and to build a little bit more positivity. We've brought on the current Derry player and the one that I voted for man of the match last week, Gareth McKinless. So we can pick his brain. We could do a little review of the game, and also we can do a little preview for next week. So I'm sure you have a list of questions. So Gareth, thanks very much for jumping on with us. It's great to have you.
Cheers. No, it's nice to be on. Thanks very much, Shay.
Gareth, the ultimate some bit of stuff footballer. That's how I would have introduced him, to say we've got. You talk about all the players that you would say he's some bit of stuff. Gareth McKinless is the man. Gareth, I remember. I think one of the first times I was covering you were playing under 21s with Derry. Remember up in Craigan? Did you win that tournament? And
bit in the final.
Bit in the final. You were this wiry cornerback back then, but for the under 21s, it was like, Jesus, fuck, you can get forward. And then I don't know, you seem to go away and eat yourself, and you've come back, and you're just a muscle man. Now you're playing centre back at the heart of the team.
Actually, we watched a few highlights on Saturday night before the match, just of old clips of different players in the team, and there was a clip of me when I was 18 or 19 playing in the Ulster final again, Glenswilly against Michael Murphy, and Jesus, it's like Michael Murphy looks like a grown man, and I just look like a 12-year-old cub. So
you did really well on him that night. I remember, because Conor Nevin was marking him. I remember that, because they were sort of like for like in terms of build, but he just didn't have the same pace. That's the first time I realised how fast Michael Murphy was. So they had to put this small, as you say, young cub of a cornerback on him, and he did a good job.
Yeah, it was a funny story, because Daddy obviously was father was the manager of the team, and last build up to the final, it was right. Conor and Navan's going to mark Michael Murphy, and I was just saying a prayer. Thank God, it's not me. Thank God. And first 5 minutes, Michael got a goal, and it was a bit of fortuitous, but he got a goal, went in, and the shout came across. He goes, "Get back to full back." He says, "You're marking him," and I was like, Jesus Christ, what did I do to deserve this? But
there you go. Fair play.
Yeah.
So the one thing I would love to try pick your brain about, considering now that the season is finished for you, I've played with a lot of lads that have been out and out sweepers over the years, Keane O'Sullivan, Johnny Cooper, but none of them have been as attacking as. Now I hope I don't offend you saying that you're a sweeper, and maybe that's a good thing as well, but we seen against Kerry last week, how much you drove up the pitch. Is that something that the management are okay with, that their sweeper +1 is able to go in numbers based off the defence you have?
As you said, normally that wouldn't be the case. But when I came on to the scene, and it sort of Rory's first sort of thought was that I had a great ability to go forward and pace, and it was nearly, how do we get the best of both worlds? And he always said to me, "No, look, when I just don't want you to sit as a sweeper, as a normal number 6 dropping off. He wanted to get forward and to affect the play, but it's hard, because at the same time you can't be one place and be the other at the same time. So it's trying to get a fine balance when to go and not to go, and pick your moments, and because you hear people chatting, "Oh, you need to be going all the time," and you're like, Jesus, like, it doesn't work like that. You gotta just, there's moments in a game where it'll open up, and you just have to sort of make the best job you can do out of it. So.
What was the approach going into the game, v Kerry? What was the thoughts? I obviously, there was, I think Kieran Mina said about, we needed to take goal chances. Was that a thought? Was that an intention before the game? Let's open them up and get goals.
So look, we as soon as the draw came out, obviously the analysis started, going up the M1 when we beat Cork. And look, to be honest, I was happy with Kerry. Now, not a lot of people maybe outside the camp wouldn't have thought that, but Kerry play a brand of football that is very exciting, and they're good at it, and there's some top quality players. But it's there's always a way and an approach of all Ulster football play defensive, and they don't like to open up and go for it. But we knew that we could do both sides of the ball. It was just bringing it all together, on that day. And we knew the Cork game, we were very, very poor up front. But we knew that we definitely could hurt them. But when we sat down, we watched a lot of video on Kerry that week after the Cork match, and we noticed they didn't really drop off as such. They played a lot of man to man, which would have created a lot of space for the likes of our runners. They dropped off one or two players now, and we've seen it. We watched the Throne game. They were sort of leaving like the likes of Michael O'Neill and Cormac Quinn free to drop off, and we knew that those types of players that they were going to choose to drop off, say the likes of our Cormac Quinns or our Michael O'Neills, that those guys were the guys that were going to affect the play and make sure that they had to be engaged up the pitch, So then it created more 1v1s as such, and allowed us, because we knew we had the pace and the running power to really hurt them once we got those 1v1 situations. So.
Do you enjoy all that video analysis, Gareth, or does it get a bit boring after you're watching your third, fourth tip?
No, it's not. It's a combination. It's the combination of watching specific clips, whatever. If it's us breaking down Kerry's defence, and then it's going out onto the training pitch and actually putting it into practice and saying, Jesus, this is actually how this is going to work. We can do this. So it's breaking it down, and we knew that Morley obviously notoriously drops off as a sweeper, but we wanted to try and engage him as much as possible, again, to create 1v1. So we were practicing that and training right up to the match, and attacking ways. That was definitely one of the aspects we looked at. But the analysis is, for me now, has been a massive part of us as a team, just sitting down, and you always sort of say to yourself, geez, you're coming up against such and such of a team, but you sit down and analyse them, and you're just like, no, look, if we do what we need to do, we're going to control this game, and we're going to win it. So it's massive part.
Yeah, one of the runs you made up, I think it was the second goal chance.
Niall Turner's chance, yeah.
Yeah, I think you were the last man in the full forward position jogging back, and I was looking at you jogging back going, holy shit, he is fatigued right now. Like, I think the whole game started to drop because it was just end to end. Myself and Thomas Niblock, we were just like, is this gonna stop? Like, it's just go non-stop, end to end. How did you approach Kerry's offensive structures and their key threats? How did you go after that?
Well, obviously you have to start with one of the best players in the country, if not ever. And
that's a trigger there for a Dublin person, by the way.
I can say nothing, but he's like, we started off with David, and look, any team is going to be the same. The man sort of he's a freak of nature. When he gets the ball in his hand, he's going to score 5, 6, whatever points a game. For me, it was a tough one. Just looking in at it, I was thinking because like I for me personally, a far more dangerous attack would be a spread of threats. If you had 5, 6 forwards like the Dublin team, the 6 in a row, whatever, like you couldn't really step off any forward. You know what I mean? You had a
Yeah.
man mark a right few forwards, so to me that would have been a more scary and it would have been a lot harder to defend against. Whereas when we were watching it, we just thought they played a lot of ball through Clifford. Now, obviously, he's a great player, but we thought that was sometimes a bit of a disadvantage to them. They may not have thought that, but I was thinking, Jesus, like if he can't play every single ball through this man, he's not going to score 14 points. You know what I mean? But the sort of mindset of them trying to just look for him all the time instead of spreading it across was a sort of an outlook we had on it. But and then obviously Sean O'Shea and Paddy Clifford were the other two sort of main threats that we picked up. But we tried to pick a side. That was sort of that left sort of side where Clifford likes to come out on the loop, sort of in the Cusick stand the first half to try and get bodies there as much as possible because that's on his left foot in his loop. But sometimes the way the game was going and it was just fast flowing, it was hard to get back at times. And
Did you talk to, like, obviously Chrissy McKaig was the man to do the job? Was there ever talk of marking on his left shoulder to push him to his right hand side?
so like we obviously Christie's is his own man, and like he's become the player he has because he's that good of a defender, and he's so intelligent. But he we wanted to play in front at times, majority with Lynchy sort of playing off his lane, and if that would sort of ne- neglect the high ball going in because Lynchy could. He could be there as the man coming in behind, but it turned out it was that sort of quick of a game and pace of a game. I sort of think that Chrissy just sort of was trying to be on his shoulder as much as possible, but he's just that strong and like if it's 1v1, you know yourself when you're in the full
Yeah.
back line, he's got first run. You know what I mean?
I was chatting to Peter Canavan before the game, and we were chatting about a couple of matchups, and I was saying McCluskey would be the man for me to do the job in Paddy, and I felt. I know, by the way, no disrespect to McKay because I think he's a great defender, really sticky, really like he's a fella that I would have in my team every day of the week. I just felt that he would be too sticky to Clifford, and there would be little kind of calls that he might get away with and didn't. And on the day, he didn't get away with the ones that you generally would as a defender, with your hand in, a little tug, a little grab of the hand, where you just change the direction of the player. I would have loved to see Brendan Rodgers on him, on the basis that Rodgers, his efficiency in terms of movement, taking him up the blind side of the pitch a little bit as well. And I was thinking they were going to change it. Was there a worry at a certain stage when McKaig was on the yellow card and was there any talk maybe at half time of a possible change if Chrissy got a second? Now he got 3 balls came in and the 3 high balls, and he won he won 2 balls, and then he put pressure under Clifford kicking a score and went wide. So he started to build momentum. But was there a worry or a talk around maybe a shift there of somebody going back to pick him up? If
Gareth, you go back in there and pick him up.
Yeah.
Jeez, I wasn't putting my hand up to do that job. No, definitely not. But no, obviously it was discussed at half time. Chrissy with the yellow card coming. Again, I thought it was maybe harsh as it probably was, but it was that tight of a battle and big of a battle. And Joe obviously was giving those calls just to Kerry at that stage. But probably the only other move would have been to move Brenton Rodgers back, Philly. But to be honest, I think what Brenton gives us in the middle of the field going forward, is it's so hard, like for us to take away Brenton doing that for us. And I know what you're saying, that he could put him on the back foot, but you know yourself, you're marking a fantastic player. Like it's hard to do both things, you know. So we weighed it up, and I like we just thought Chrissy could battle it out, and lucky that's the way we went at half time with it. So.
Yeah, I agree. Like you're robbing Peter to pay Paul with taking Rodgers out. Rodgers had a great game as well. I just think, and I don't think McKaig done it. Like as you said, there's nearly a handicap that you give a score to Clifford because he's that good, and you know if he doesn't really get many scores, he's actually linking a lot of the play, and he's probably assisting a lot of scores as well. You know, do you think the foul on Stephen O'Brien was a soft call, and did it change the momentum in the game with you on the pitch? Did you feel it changed the game?
Definitely. Look, I'll just be. I always am. I'll be honest. Like, I don't like jabbing or saying anything about the refs, but like it's at that time. Like he was coming across. I knew Stephen O'Brien. He loves that trademark move where he's running hard and he cuts in. Although he scored, that's why he scored. Evidently, the point in his left. He sort of knew that we were preparing for him, but I knew he was cutting in, and as he cut in, I got a hand on him, but I knew he had cover behind me, so I didn't want to put any kind of force on him, so I knew he had cover, and he just slipped as I seen it, and I was like, oh, he's slipping, and he went down and he fisted the ball across, but I didn't see Joe's hand going up. I think there was a good maybe 5-6 seconds. There was 2 blocks in that, and like it was massive for us to come out with that ball and then to turn around and see that he'd given the free. I was just like it was a real momentum shifter.
Yeah, that was because I was down in that corner, Philly, and like everybody was on their feet, like the block, and a real heartbreaking thing. 65 minutes, Derry turned it over 2-up. Kerry looked a little bit, for the want of a better word, desperate at that stage. They were trying to get in, because I think it was 17 minutes they hadn't scored either, and then Kieran McFall turned around and started celebrating to the crowd as well. When you look at it back now, it's so heartbreaking because it actually is just denied. Like, if you take away any bias, it was like that would have been an iconic moment, you know, big block semi-final, 5 minutes ago, McFall turned around and giving it the big one, but it was just ruined by a 13-yard free at the end that nobody seemed to see. But Kerry were brilliant from then on.
Yeah. What would you do different if you were to play Kerry this weekend? What would you change?
The referee.
No, to be honest, Philly, I wouldn't really even change that much. I would just make sure down the stretch that we converted. We kept a high scoring efficiency down the stretch. Like I think we had 14 scoring chances in the second half and only converted maybe 4. Like it wasn't like we didn't do anything right. We were doing everything right. We just couldn't convert going down the stretch. And I knew on the pitch, at that time, like I think it was after Niall Loughlin's or Ethan Doherty's chance. Like it was just we just were running out of chances, you know, to get over the line. Because I honestly think we should have been 5, 6, possibly 7 ahead. And like nobody would have been talking about the referees' calls. Like they'd have been making them, and we wouldn't have been complaining, you know. So I honestly think that was just the defining thing in the game, you know. So we could maybe just roll it back and give the spectators what they all thought was going to happen, a bore game, maybe just 4-all at half time, but
how's your leg, Gareth, more importantly?
So I got the scan back Wednesday night, so I've tore my LCL.
What's that?
Lateral ligament. Outside of the leg.
Outside of the leg. I was fearing that it was maybe possibly a cruciate, so look, it's bad news, but it definitely could have been worse.
Gareth, you've done it at the right time if you're going to do it.
Well, that's it. Well, the club boys aren't saying that. Right?
Yeah, fair enough. The club, yeah. I did the same injury in a Leinster. I'm not sure if it was a Leinster game. Don't know if it was a Leinster final. I was kicking the ball very similar to you, and John O'Loughlin came in and caught the inside of my leg. So I actually got a fracture on the inside of the bone because they clashed. and I got a grade 2 tear on the lateral ligament. But I got back fairly quickly, like, so it could have been like, it's one of those injuries where you say to yourself it's bad, but it could have been worse, you know.
Worse, exactly. And I was as once it happened, I'd heard a snap or crack, and I was just thinking the worst.
Oh wow.
From then on. So, look, as I said, it's bad, but it could have been far worse. So.
Sure, it could be good. No, you could miss a couple of league games. You know, just time your run and miss all those 200-meter runs. You know, just get dropped in the. You can be that luxury player now. Like, just comes in the middle of the league.
Getting back to the game, let's not talk about those injury things. They're all negative stuff that we want to get out of our head. But can I ask you about half time, because I think it was a crucial part for me, looking in the first 15 minutes or probably 10 minutes. Kerry had a little bit of a momentum patch, but what I noticed was like there was a lack of energy in your movement, especially when you're on the ball offensively. It could have been because the intensity of the first half. It could have been that you were ahead and you were kind of like, okay, we want this game to be over and be an All-Ireland final. I don't know if I'm offending you by saying that, but there was a lack of energy when you were on the ball that you had in abundance in the first half. Was there a message at half time that was like, control the game, slow it down, keep possession?
Yeah, so no, you're probably 100% right. It was we sort of like to control the game in the second half. In the first half, we every time we attacked, we looked like scoring, and we knew that. We felt like we'd get a good scoring chance. So then we said at halftime we could control the ball more, keep the ball, sort of make them come out, frustrate them, because we knew whenever we wanted, we could go and go and score, and when you're holding the ball for long periods of time and still get an opportunity to score, it's as an opposition, it's heart wrenching. So it was something we talked about, and we have done throughout the course of the league, and all our games. We like to try and control the play as much as possible, especially when you're in front. You don't want to be given, and against top class opposition, you don't want to be giving them the ball. So it's not essentially like keep ball. You don't want to keep it. You know what I mean? We want to work a score, um, but it's just slowing the tempo down. Just getting territory up the pitch, coming back again, maybe working a different side, going hard at that angle, coming back, and just shifting them about. It's not like you're just keeping the ball essentially, but it was something that we definitely discussed. So.
Is there anything any tips you could give the Dubs going in against Kerry in terms of something that you would have changed? Not that you want to give the Dubs tips, but like, just say somebody tips.
No, look, hey, Dublin, for me, if I'm being honest, I was the team I didn't want to play, but the team that I feared most against would have been Dublin, and it's not the fact that it's just Dublin; it's because the players that were starting to get back, and the sub bench that they were creating. Like, you look at the players coming off the bench, Jack McCaffrey, like, what a sub to bring on at 50 minutes. You're talking about energy after half time. Like, the man he's going to give you everything going forward. And as a player in the opposition side, seeing him coming on, like, mentally, it's going to destroy you. You're running away from him, such. But I think there's going to be a massive game in Conor O'Callaghan in the final. Like, again, he's top three forwards in Ireland, and I think there's going to be a massive game in him. And as I said earlier when I talked about the Dubs 6-in-a-row team, I think Dublin's forward ways have more, just that wee bit extra sort of the danger, or the players are just a wee bit more. Like, you can't leave them in 1v1; they're going to hurt you. So I think that the Dubs will just have that wee bit more inch in attack. And it's maybe I'm going to contradict myself by saying it, but I think that'll be the telling in the game. So, and probably like Dublin's midfield as well. So that will.
So we won't ask him, Colin, who he thinks is going to win, will we? In case he
Yeah,
jinxes it.
I've taken Dublin from that anyway. I sort of think the same way. As Gareth said, the start the spread of options going forward. That includes midfield and McCaffrey when he comes on. But then they're so good defensively as well. Like, see, even Monaghan and the games before Mayo, like when teams are trying to get through them, I don't know how to do it, but there are always four players just converge on someone, like just block up that channel so well in the middle. It's a tight ship.
It'd be nice to have a Division 2 win the All-Ireland, wouldn't it?
No, well, the first time ever, is it? Would it be? I don't know, but it's the fact they can play both sides of the ball. Like, the Kerry would obviously at the weekend not want to, sort of been fair, not fairness, but like not wanting to play against a so-called defensive team, and they're keeping the ball, and it's all this. They don't want to give it away, be patient, no. Whereas Dublin, for me, they come up, they can play that style of football if they want. They can match numbers across the field. They can play a high press. They're just, for me, it has to be Dublin. But look, I could be wrong.
What's the plan now, Gareth? Have you finished your week of whatever it was coming down after the game? I see you drinking a bit hit there.
I was in. We enjoyed a few days with all the boys, around home, and then a few of us went down to Clarny, so for the races on Wednesday, and then I have my girlfriend lives in Galway, so I've stopped off in Galway. So
there you go.
That's the
I hope you went down in Killarney giving all the information about the Dubs.
No, they were good to us. To be fair, they were good to us down there. We were in the Tatler, so they were good to us down there now. So
yeah, I was down in Kerry on Tuesday to Thursday there as well, and it's brilliant. Like Killarney is amazing. We were down in Dingle as well, but you get the eyes all right. You get the friendly ones, and you get the ones that's giving you the devils. But it's a beautiful place.
It is surely. Maybe you might be that welcome after 2 weeks' time if there's
we'll see how it goes.
Stay clear.
Conan, last thing from me, you're a massive Derry fan, and I think the general consensus of Derry people and the Monaghan fans also, and Monaghan people, was that they were proud of both teams going out and really having a cut off Dublin and Kerry. Could you kind of is that what you kind of felt after that game? Did you feel like disappointed that they obviously didn't get to the final because how they played, but obviously feeling proud as a Derry man?
Oh yeah, well there's a Derry fan in the office, or a Kerry fan, and he made it worse for me. He said, I'd say the really tough thing for you is that you actually could have won the All-Ireland. And I'm like, what are you saying to me? Like this, you're making it way worse. And definitely proud, frustrated, but like you have to understand as well that in my lifetime, like this is the first time Derry have gotten the back-to-back semi-finals. So, like, it's only the second time in their history. They only won back-to-back Ulsters in the 70s, and that was it. And these boys have come along now and done it, and they've done it through back-to-back Ulsters as well, and the improvement each year as well. I think everybody was saying throughout the year how Derry have stepped on, but like the way they've galvanised the county, it's mad. Like Derry had some good teams through the noughties, always threatened to do something, always capable of a skill, but like there was a game in 2006, I think it was, down in Clones, and it's called the Clones 500 because there was only 500 Derry fans there to watch them beating Armagh. Like, when Armagh, one of the best teams in the country at the time, but like that's the way it was, like, because there just wasn't that fever around the county. The club scene was obviously still so strong, but then these boys have come along, and like it's unbelievable how they've dragged 30,000 people with them down to Croke Park for a semi-final, and people actually believing that they could win. Like the Scaries manager here, Terry McGuinness, is a fucking Vale man, and me and him have been meeting boys, like, and they're all dubs, like all your type of people, Philly. We've meeting them all week, and we've been telling them Derry are going to win this match, like, and they just sort of thought we were talking shit. Like, so in a way, that's why you're proud. Then you're sort of like, I know they didn't win, but you're like, that's a team that you didn't appreciate enough, like you didn't respect it enough, and the way they came out and went at them, and when you have the Derry manager afterwards saying like, we cut them to shreds, like, quote unquote. They did, and we knew we could get at them, whatever way they set up with a sweeper, man to man. Like, imagine like going from what Derry were, like what they were, and like it's well fabled now with 2019 Division 4, to go on to that in 4 years and like taking on the All-Ireland champions and coming away feeling like, Jesus, they got out of jail there. Like we really strung them up at stages. Like it's phenomenal, and like I can't believe I've never, because even after the Galway game last year, it was really flat. and you were thinking, oh well, I don't know if I'll win Ulster again, and they went and did it again. They went and won Ulster again, and then they've come back and they've done even better in the All Ireland series. So I've never looked forward to a season as much as I am now. Next
All
season,
right, all right, Colin, settle down there, settle down.
Yeah,
but
wow.
wow.
But honestly, and like now that Gareth's here, I can say it to him. But you know, like the way in America they thank the soldiers, thank you for your service. I feel like I should do that to this man here as well.
Brilliant.
Because honestly, like
Love it.
the way the players have like some of these players now are iconic forever now in Derry folklore. I think it's 9. Is it 9 Ulsters that Derry have won in their entire history? Like these boys have come along and done 2 in 2 years, so it's really not to be underestimated.
How would you feel about that, Gareth?
Yeah, he didn't have to respond to that.
No, look, hey, the support, and just obviously the way the team has been going over this past 2-3 years before, like it's been brilliant. You know, like you always want to go out and play in front of packed crowds, and you want to have great supporters. You always hear of like Donegal and teams that throughout the years before that had great support, and like they travel anywhere. Like you want to be going to Castlebar and bringing 20 whatever thousand, or you want to just bring crowds with you, and you want to have that support. And look, it's great obviously, but at the end of the day, we're in it to win as many games as possible, and you want to win the big prizes. Like, so look, it's a tough one for us to take. We'll probably sit down and analyse it, I'd say, in the not too distant future, but look, we hope they keep rattling at it.
Well, Gareth, listen, I just want to say thanks very much for coming on to have a chat with us so soon after the game, and also well done this year. I know you didn't get to the pinnacle probably of where you wanted, but I'm saying well done on the effect that you're having on the county itself. You know, I think that's when you probably get to that stage where one day you maybe get across the line, hopefully not against the Dubs, you'll understand that the effects of the energy you give your county is probably up there with winning something as big as an All-Ireland, you know. So he's already doing that. He's came through massive adversity this year. He's won back-to-back Ulsters, and you have Conan there jumping off a seat looking for Joe McQuillan for the rest of the week. But thanks very much for coming on, and best of luck with the injury, speedy recovery, and good luck with the club once you're back.
Cheers, fella. Thanks very much.
So our next guest, I'm not going to introduce by name. I'm going to introduce him by the thorn on my side against Monaghan. I'm sure he's going to say I've burnt the ears off him in a couple of games. But we're delighted to have Monaghan player Kieran Hughes. Kieran, myself and Conan were actually having a bit of a dispute about how we pronounce the first part of Kieran, because he's a Nordy, like he's a Derry kind of twang to Kieran. So can you settle this?
Yeah, I said Kieran, and he said Kieran. He did the classic Kieran.
Yeah, see, that's the first strike there, Philly. You can't be going Kieran. Us Nordies stick together, hey? So yeah, Kieran.
We'll start with that. So how's been the last couple of days after the game?
Yeah, dusty. I think I can speak for the whole panel too. We drink together when we win, we drink together when we lose. Hey, and that's what we've done for the past few days now. We're just saying the other day that you're going up the road or down the road to Dublin on a Saturday, water in the system, piss clear, fully tunnel vision focus, and then within 24 hours you're getting a lift up the road in a bus with piss stops left, right and centre for alcohol, and you're trying to get into Camden Street somewhere, and just a complete roller coaster ride, the whole thing.
I thought you broke down the game. Your interview after it, I was sitting beside Oisin McConville in the BBC studio and Michael Murphy, and even the lads that were doing the commentary and co-commentary, Thomas Niblock and Mickey Hart, were saying your interview after the game, like, you broke it down so well, like, you know, it was. So when I was chatting to Conan about you coming on, I was kind of like, that's definitely the starting point, because he broke it down so well, and it came to us then after, and I was like, we can't really actually break it down as best as he's just done there. Like, it was incredible. So, like, the start, can I go to the start of the your intentions for the game was, what I felt was you were holding the ball at the back, trying to control momentum, and then there was times where I seen you pushing 5 lads up and having that gap then to counter into. Was that the intention for the start of the game?
I think conditions dictated that. Vinny gave me a shout Tuesday week ago that he was going to start me, and it took me by surprise just with the way my performances were this year and the way the body was. And the talk from Tuesday to Friday was different to the talk from Friday to Saturday with myself personally. And then as soon as we realised it was going to be windy, raining in Croker, my role completely changed up. And as soon as the game started, I let Desi, Gary Moan, these boys, fill the full forward line, and I sort of tried to go out and get on a wee bit of simple ball and look at Davy and all. The way that they set up, they always had an eye on me, sort of out there, and I never really got as comfortable as I have in previous games out around that 45. But the plan was yes, to try and get control in the ball and get it from side to side and pick off the pockets, and I think we did that, hey, but we just didn't get it on the scoreboard, hey, and that's been the sickener the last few days. And the narrative around Monaghan this week has been plaudits and the back, hey, but to be honest with you, I'm not having any of that. Like we needed to win that game the other day to really show that we could do it against the top teams, and we failed it in the last 10-15. Hey, and Philly, well, games are won in the last 10-15 minutes of inter-county games. That's the simple facts of the whole thing, and we'll be disappointed when we look back in that 15 minutes. But look at from the start, yeah, I thought we controlled the game well, but the last 15 has really been a sickener in the last few days when we got sitting down.
What did you find the most difficult part of the game to deal with in terms of Dublin? What were they so good at?
Yeah, well, you know the story there. Like their work rate from the forwards is absolutely unbelievable. Like Mannion and Con, like as soon as they don't have the ball, they're coming back to that midfield or 65, and they have an eye on you. Like they're like, I'm not letting you by here without getting contact of some sort on you, and that's one thing will always commend them. Their last 10-15 minutes was their press. Their pressing back against kickouts, their press when we actually did win a kick out up top. I commend any team that win a game. I think whoever does that full press on a team deserve the rewards, and Dublin got it. These teams that are sitting back behind the ball most games, just waiting for you to make a mistake, not for me, but any team that go for that full press when the going gets tough, I'll tip my hat to them. But I was hoping we'd get out of it, and we nearly did get out of it, but nearly just wasn't good enough. I thought there was maybe one or two decisions a wee bit harsh, but I know Horson as a referee, he loves a team that go for that.
Which one are that? Which were that? Which decisions
probably
were
the O'Hanlon one's probably a grievance mostly. O'Hanlon got caught in the corner and he done him for a pick of the ground.
Was that one where the ball bounced?
Yeah.
Did you see that back?
I've seen it once on one of the boys' phones on Saturday night, so it's probably a wee bit blurry to watch it.
It's probably for me one of the best calls I've seen a referee make, and that's without me Dublin hat on, because
that's what I mean. Like I have to watch the last 15 back here to be sure that I'm getting that. From my vision at the time, I was just like, geez.
I would have 100% said that ball bounced, but what happened was it bounced, and as it went to hit the second bounce, he caught it. And it was like, how the first thing I said was, that's not a free, like that ball bounced. But then I was saying to myself, there's no way a ref could see that happening in that split second, like a little bounce and then it didn't bounce, it was but it was harsh one, like
harsh,
but the right call, in my eyes.
And other than that, I have to say, I think he did he do Costello for a throw ball? If you're going to, or no, John Small too, Costello for throw ball, and for me that's, if you're going to do that for throw ball, there's 20 others in the game that's throw ball, but definitely no complaints. Other than that one, I was just sickening on our behalf because O'Hanlon had actually just kicked the ball to the far end and 4 double players had sucked in, and we were just like, we're gone here. But 12, what do we score? 12, 13 points, no, that's not winning you in All-Ireland semi. Simple as that now. And we spoke about that during the week. We needed goals, and we didn't threaten enough second half. Didn't threaten Stephen enough now, but first half I think we could have had that 1 or 2 as well. But if you don't take the chances, you don't get to the.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Colin, but I was having a conversation pre-game, and I was saying to myself, do you know what would be a real curveball? Would it be in starting McCarran and McManus inside, so that you have to have 2 out and out fullbacks doing a job, and if they don't do a job, then you're bringing in a secondary type fella to do that job, you know. And we were arguing. Go on, yeah.
No, I was going to just say, sure, they were doing that at the start of the year, and then it had to go away from that. I think it was Derry that were just dragging these boys up the pitch, and it's a shame that he couldn't just play them. But then I could just see, like, you're right, Philly, I see what you're saying, but I can see another scenario with them playing, and then we're like, why are you doing that against Dublin? Like, those boys are too smart. They'll just drag them up the pitch, and yeah, I don't know. And also, any way to get Kieran Hughes into the team, I'm all for.
Yeah, same as that, but maybe that's 2 or 3 years talk ago. So
You haven't got any play full forward at all, really, Kieran, this year. Is that a bit annoying?
I think I could count in one hand the amount of times I could play in full forward in the last 10 years.
Really?
One, just get him in anywhere, maybe that if there's injuries somewhere else in the field or something, like you just
would you prefer to playing around the middle, or would you, like, anytime I've marked you, you've dragged me out around the middle, and you've been that option for the long kick out to the side, and you've been linking the play
inside against, like, and that is Dublin, because use mark in front and let the players out the field, like, dictate. If you want to kick the ball the far side, you can win it, and that's what I appreciate too with the Dubs. Like, they take a chance, they take that step out in front, and they just back themselves every day of the week individually. But against the likes of the teams, I'm not going to name them, that are bringing men back.
Go on, name them. Go on.
Out of there, I am. There, yeah. Well, look at Derry's obviously one. Armagh, the Ulster contingent. Kildare, funny enough, done it against us in Tullamore. We weren't expecting it, and we got out of there that day very luckily. They broke us down, and they're fast, nimble boys on the attack too. But no, I'd far rather be facing the play. I need to face the play. That's why I'd be delighted to get the club jersey back on me here now, and just give me a number 6 or 7 role, and just like seeing what's going on ahead of me. And the thought of the likes of you, Philly, tagging me or running around after me, that's not for me. I don't like it. I don't have the discipline for that. But you were one man, Philly, that didn't give a shit. You just went, and I was like, fuck, I'm gonna have to follow this man. But actually got to the stage where they knew I wasn't able to follow you, so we just got somebody else to do that job, and I just tried to stay in. But no, I don't like that. I like being in the thick of the thing, and it's no different to yourself, I'm sure. Just I like being in and around, knowing that I control things, and get on the ball and get a couple of early touches, and knowing that I'm comfortable in the game. Like, but in full forward, like, you could have to wait 10 minutes for a ball to come in, and
that's interesting to me, Kieran. So you were saying, like, you want, like, halfback, you'd be playing for Scottstown, whereas like, but like some of the famous clips that I think of your career, even with Scottstown down through the years, are those big fetches in the full forward line. And I'm wondering, like, if you were maybe born in Connacht, do you think you'd be a full forward, a more cultured full forward?
Yeah, well, it all depends on who the boys are kicking the ball in. That's like, look at the way the inter-county game has went now. Like, there's very little of that kick in, like, and yourselves, if you try 1 or 2 and it doesn't work out, then sure, they're not going to keep doing it. The boys are going to need the curly finger maybe out the field. That's what they're afraid of, and it's not really that majorly enjoyable in there. I don't tend to like it, but some days work out. Like, if it had been a dry day last week, I would have fancied my chances now if the ball had been kicked in, like a big wide open field. But
plus, you can't hit the outside of the left foot with inside in the full forward line. He loves an outside of the foot.
There's only certain moments that can come out. But just about nearly came off last week now, but just not enough whip on it.
Yeah. It's actually interesting, Philly, because when I was texting Kieran to come on, he said, oh yeah, me and Philly would have marked each other a few times, but I'm not sure if he remembers because he just spent the whole time up the pitch.
Probably given out as well.
Yeah, no, there was one moment, no, I'll never forget it. You said he said, look at the shape, you can't fucking breathe. And I was like, fuck, you are so right. I am only home for a holiday in Thailand here. I am fucked.
Brilliant. I love your honesty.
Look at the shape of you. You're completely out of shape. And I'm just like, yeah, fucking on getting it here.
That was in Clowness, was it?
No, this is what was it? It was 2018 in I think it was the last league game. It was like a dead rubber. So it was, you didn't need to use her in the league final. Like,
Geez, dead rubber and Philly still giving it all this.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Different person off the pitch. That's all I'm saying.
It wouldn't take much to light my fire now, but I just was like, yeah, you're right today. I am.
Love it. The one thing I want to ask is that's interesting me about Monaghan this year is they rotated so many different ways. I've actually been very impressed by that because I kind of look to see what different teams are doing, and Monaghan like a chameleon. They were changing different ways they set up different players. It was great to see, especially in Ulster, which I watched mostly. But the dynamics and the blend of the team is probably going to go through a transition, Kieran, in the next maybe season or the year after. And I know Monaghan are traditionally a county that hold on to their players for long periods, which is a benefit to a county like Monaghan in terms of the population. Like so, I know you probably don't have the insight to Vinnie Corey's ideas around what the next season's going to hold, but do you reckon a lot of the older lads in the group will stay on for another season on the basis of what happened this year, or will there be a mass exodus of players?
I've pretty decent insight to Vinny, believe it or not. There's definitely some part of him that none of us will ever understand, but Vinny's a big believer in that you never hand the jersey over, and that's one thing that'll always stick in my mind. But again, that'll be up to the individuals themselves. I think there was a lot of media attention, thrown on boys over the weekend. But if their bodies are fit to do it, why would you not? It's the age is just a number. Cliche is the reality. That is just a fact. It's if your body is willing to go at it, why would it not? I haven't made a decision yet, and I won't make a decision because I just think it's too early to start doing that. But the likes of Carl, Darn, and Manzi now, I'd say they'll play their club seasons out and they'll see what the story is in whatever, November, December.
I think it was, Colin, I don't know if you agree, but I think it's a crucial thing because you probably know this more than me, is that at a certain age the media world gravitate towards asking questions around retirement. I was 30 when people are asking me about retirement. I played an extra 4 years, and I just felt it was it was a kind of an organic type conscious question that people ask in the media after the games. Are you going to be, especially to Conor as well, Conor McManus, they were like, are you going to be here next year? Is this the last time you're going to see the Hughes brothers, is O'Connell and McManus? And I said to myself, isn't it terrible that we're at that stage? If you were to say you don't look at a biological age, or you don't look at the amount of seasons the players had, well then you probably wouldn't ask would they be retired after a season. When you look at James McCarthy, you look at Stephen Cluxton, Dean Rock possibly, these players, Jack McCaffrey, Paul Mannion, if they play their last game like you have played your last game this season, and you've played well, why does that question always have to be asked? I just think, Conan, I don't know if that's something that you've in the media, it's something that you gravitate towards. Is it just a lazy kind of question, or is it just an organic thing that's culturally being passed down to media?
I think sometimes they're like little beats to every player that you think you can fall back on. Say you're running out of conversation with somebody, or you haven't prepared, or especially the journalists who are on the beat every day and are just looking for news lines and stuff. There's certain things you can always hit. For some players it's club, for some players it's controversy, it's the manager, it's something somebody said. And then for some players, when they hit a certain age, like you say, it's like, this is an easy one. I can just talk about, is he thinking about retiring? For me, I always found it was mad like Andy Moran was getting it all the time, and he was scoring 1-5 in an All Ireland semi-final. And it was like, Jesus, like can we wait until he's dipping, as Kieran says, like, until he's losing the shirt, like, and then you can start asking him, like, you're not even playing anymore. Are you bothered doing this? It's a weird one that comes into the thinking when players are still at the peak. Whereas, like, I look at somebody like Michael Murphy, though, who probably didn't get it. So I wonder, is there a bit in certain journalists' heads that, like, this player is maybe on the way down a little bit? Like not Conor McManus is one of my favourite players of all time, but maybe he's lost a half a yard of pace. And then once you see that, once he's not hitting that same level, then it's like, okay, I'm going to start asking him about this now. And then once one person asks him, everybody wants to be the person to ask. Like, they want to be the person to break that story, you know? Like, you don't want to be chatting to him and not have the opportunity to do that. And I'd say it's frustrating as hell, Kieran, for players when that's happening.
Yeah, anywhere I looked on social media this week, it was all about Manzi retiring, like, and I was just like, that's taken away from the actual game itself here. You know what happened around it, and Philly, you're on it there about like, if that had been Dean's last game or Mannion's last game or Stephen's last game of the day, like, you know, or yeah, you're just thinking there's something going on here. Is it a clickbait thing? So maybe that's up to us to stay away from that. Like, and it's something I want to sort of ask you, Philly, about the Twitter end of things. You know, I haven't been on it in 2 years, and I don't even know if I'm better off been off it or not. But was it ever something that you said during your career that, you know, I'm taking myself off, it's too negative for me, I don't need to see stuff going on here?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Like, we never really had like a ban on social media as a group. But we would have had stages where players openly would have said, I kind of struggled with that a little bit that week, and I'm going to go off it for the next 2 weeks. And I suppose the general consensus then was, listen, if you're okay on Twitter and you can deal with maybe some negative noise, well, that's cool. You do you. But if you're somebody that can't deal with that and it's affecting you, well, then you need to make the decision for you and the team to get off it, like, you know. So I think it comes down to the individual's responsibility to say, right, how do I deal with this energy? Is it going to take away from me and my performance this week, or is it going to add to me, or is it just going to be not affecting me at all? So I was very lucky that it never affected me, you know. I think maybe being exposed by things in, you know, things back in terms of, you know, my childhood with Ballymun Kickums, and maybe the variables that we would have got from teams and the opposition's parents and stuff like that. That kind of stuck to me a little bit in terms of when it comes to social media, that I may have to still blank that out and say, I don't know who you are, that stuff is not true, you don't know me, and it doesn't matter to me in life, you know. But in saying that, I think the biggest concern nowadays that a lot of inter-county players, I don't know if you've experienced this, is the effects on your loved ones. Not really you, it's the loved ones that come to you and say, did you hear what he said about you on Twitter? And you're trying to then coach them, but they don't have the skill set maybe to combat that, you know.
That's my big downfall with it. Like, you know, my mother up above here, like, and she started being on Facebook in the last couple of years, and all it takes for her to see one bad negative comment about one of her sons, and she thinks it's true straight away. And I'm just like, oh, how do you even talk this woman through this? Like, it's, and we only get it in small snippets, but that's all it takes is one comment from somebody else to say, and I'm just like, I just love to ask the person that said the comment, do you have children? Would you like that to be said about your child, sort of thing? And it's something that I try to get away from, but I'm trying to ask myself too, you know, am I any better off? Not saying that maybe it'll drive me on a wee bit.
Yeah, I think with Twitter, it's just the question you need to ask, that I ask myself as well, is, you know, if it benefits you, you know, stay on it. If it doesn't benefit you, you know, go off it. You know, that's the way I thought of it all the time. You know.
So what's the plan now, Kieran? Have you finished off your postmortems? Like, were they a bit pissed off, like, on Saturday night? Were you like drinking and thinking, Jesus, we should have bloody won that match?
No, honestly, no. It was, that's probably what pisses me off a wee bit. Like, it seemed to be like a, oh, well done, good year, you know, plenty of positives, but my biggest annoyance over the whole thing is if Monaghan don't get to a semi-final next year, you know, it's going to be looked at as what the fuck, use your shower of duds. Management's going to be under pressure, players will be under pressure to retire, and all this. And that's where it has to be high at this level now. To you have to try and better your year 4, and that is going to be the big push for Monaghan now, is to how can we step it up again and go at it, because teams are going to be looking at you now and thinking, right, well, if Monaghan can get there, then any of us can get there, because I think you've seen in the last maybe month there's very little between the top, what are we talking, 12 to 14 teams. Not very little. I think Dublin and Kerry have that little bit more than the rest, but on any given day, and I would have looked at it on a Monaghan behalf, we got the luck of the draw in them few weeks. If you had told me at the start of the year we're going to get Kildare and Armagh 2 weeks in a row to get to an All-Ireland semi-final, it would have bit the hand of you. Other teams just didn't get that bit of luck, and I always said anytime you've been successful, you need that bit of shining luck looking down on you, and I think this year we got it, and hopefully we get it again. But just to go back to it, there was good crack. So what's the point? What's the point drowning sorrows and feeling sorry for ourselves Saturday and Sunday when the sips are in, the smiles are on, and whether it's a fake smile or not, it's good crack to be around the boys. And Vinny's very good with all that as well. Even after the Armagh game, he just goes, look, it's 2 weeks next game. You need to enjoy these little small moments. It's not celebrating. It's just do whatever you need to do. If you need to go home, get your sleep. But if you want to go and have a couple of drinks with the boys, away you go. And we had the latter. I would have seen the Dubs do it in the last previous years. Ryan Wiley be very good mates with Jack McCaffrey, and I would have been in Dublin on an odd Sunday night and seen Jack out and him with a game 2 weeks later. But he was just like, what bother him a cause? And I'll have me a few sips, bit of socialising, get back down to work the next day or the day after, whatever it is. I think it's massive for to keep a panel and a squad happy. You need to let lads out, because at the end of the day, you realise you're missing nothing. When you do get your night out, you wake up the next morning and just go, what am I missing out there? The memory could be foggy.
I think having that balance is crucial, because for years I would have been thinking to myself, because I don't drink, that come next week I'm going to be ready to go and the lads won't be, so I'll get ahead of them, for the next game. But do you know what used to happen? Now it changed over time, but they used to come back old school wise. These lads would come back after having a few drinks and they get the bollocks ran out of them.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, why am I getting punished here? I wasn't out in the drink. Yeah. But then it got to a stage where it got more scientific, where specifically when Brian Cullen came in as the S&C, and he was kind of like, if you get these lads coming back after a few drinks over the weekend, after being fatigued from a game, and they start doing running so close at the start of the week, you're going to get injuries. So there was a smart way of doing it. Lads enjoyed it a little bit more, but then it was over to you. If you want to go really hard, remember that you're probably going to play an AVB game the next weekend and you could lose your jersey. That's the way it was, So having that happy medium.
There is a lot of people that can handle it different than others. I've definitely seen that now over the years with myself. I just make sure get my sleep. If I miss a night's sleep, I'm in bother for a few days later. And you don't want to be texting the manager just going, look, can you take it easy on me tonight now? Because there's none of that nowadays with inter-county. You could get away with it at the club all right, but definitely trying to get more moderation in the social end of things.
And you know what? Jack is a quite, for me, he's one of these. He's like it's what you call it, the butcher's cat. Do you know that saying, the butcher's cat? He's like a bag of piss. In he takes a few drinks and he's just falling side to side.
So there's probably nothing in his system.
But he gets drunk really easy. Do you just have somebody on the Monaghan squads like that? Because every team has.
Of course there is. And you just be wondering, then they're up again and at it the next morning, and you're just thinking, what has he done or what has he put in the system? And then there's some of us when we start, we can't stop, and it's just. I
love the way you put yourself in that bracket.
Yeah. No, I'm like Frank the Tank guy. That's the way I'm out of that.
Let's go streaking.
Everyone's doing it.
Is Darren the one bringing you home? Is he?
No. He's a bottomless pit. An absolute pig. You're another pig. But that's the joke. That was the running joke in the squad or in the dressing room the last few weeks. Like I just said it to Manzi. Actually, just goes. I just knelt down to him one night and just go, "Do you know something?" And goes, "We're the biggest shower of pigs when we get a chance to do any of this sort of crack. Like, there's none of this 3-4 and then stand up and goes, right, boys, I'm away home. It's 3-4 and where are we going next? We've got a chance for a night out here, like, and then all of a sudden the birds are singing and it's bright outside and you're thinking, here we go."
The pits of depression.
Yeah, not a good place to be. But sure, there's always light at the end of the tunnel, as I say.
Fair play.
It takes a few more days than normal.
Well, listen, Kieran, thanks very much for jumping on. And thanks for all the battles over the years between me and yourself. We enjoyed it. And best of luck in your club championship this year and whatever you're going to do. I'm not going to retire you now. I'm sure you're going to be back next year for another wrap of it. But I really appreciate your honesty. I really enjoyed it. And I'm sure Conan, you'll say the same,
Appreciate that, boys. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Kieran. Thanks very much.